Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. President Donald Trump has vowed to impose escalating tariffs on 8 European nations in a bid to pressure them over Greenland. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the United States would introduce an additional 10% import tariff from February 1st on goods from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Finland, and Britain. The move intensifies a growing dispute over Greenland, as President Trump insists the United States must be allowed to buy the Danish territory, already the focus of diplomatic tensions with European allies. Protesters in Denmark and Greenland have rallied against US President Donald Trump's demand that the Arctic island be ceded to the United States, calling for Greenland to determine its own future. President Trump says Greenland is vital to US security because of its strategic location and mineral resources, and has not ruled out the use of force. European countries have sent military personnel to Greenland this week at Denmark's request, amid rising tensions. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has accused US President Donald Trump of inciting weeks of deadly protests in Iran. Khamenei said Washington bears responsibility for the unrest, which rights groups claim has killed more than 3,000 people. Iranian state media quoted Khamenei as calling the US president criminally responsible for the casualties and damage suffered by the Iranian nation. US officials held talks with Venezuela's Interior Minister, Diosdado Cabello, months before the US operation that seized President Nicolás Maduro. Sources say that officials warned Cabello against using security forces or ruling party supporters to target the opposition. The security apparatus remains largely intact following the January 3rd raid. More than 3,000 people have died in Iran's nationwide protests, while a very slight rise in internet activity was reported in the country after an 8-day blackout. The US-based HRANA group said it verified 3,090 deaths, including 2,885 protesters, after residents said the crackdown appeared to have broadly quelled protests for now, and state media reported more arrests. The Iranian government has blamed much of the violence on people it says are armed rioters posing as protesters, labelling them terrorists. Opposition leader Corina Machado has said that she is confident that the remnants of what she called Venezuela's criminal regime would eventually be dismantled, and there would be an orderly transition to free elections, but cautioned that the road ahead would be difficult and complex. Machado branded Venezuela's new leader a communist and said Rodriguez is afraid of Trump and holds an unsustainable position as head of a system that is repressive but does not include the military. A Chinese reconnaissance drone has briefly flown over the Taiwan-controlled Pratas Islands at the top end of the South China Sea on Saturday, in what Taiwan's defense ministry called a provocative and irresponsible move. The ministry said the Chinese reconnaissance drone was detected around dawn on Saturday, approaching the Pratas Islands, and flew in its airspace for 8 minutes at an altitude outside the range of anti-aircraft weapons. China's military has said it has followed and monitored the transit of guided missile destroyer USS Finn and oceanographic survey ship USNS Mary Sears through the Taiwan Strait on January 16th and 17th. In an official WeChat account, a spokesman for the Eastern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army said it remains on high alert at all times to resolutely defend national sovereignty and security. The White House has announced some members of a so-called Board of Peace that is to supervise the temporary governance of Gaza, which has been under a fragile ceasefire since October. According to a plan the White House unveiled in October, the names include US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, President Donald Trump's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Trump is the chair of the board. The White House did not detail the responsibilities of each member of the founding executive board. Canada and China have struck an initial trade deal that will slash tariffs on electric vehicles and canola, as both nations promise to tear down trade barriers while forging new strategic ties during Prime Minister Mark Carney's visit. Carney said after talks with Chinese leaders, including President Xi Jinping, that Canada will initially allow in up to 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles at a tariff of 6.1% on most favoured nation terms. Scientists have unveiled the most detailed map ever created of the landscape hidden beneath Antarctica's ice sheet. The new map reveals a dramatic terrain of mountains, canyons, valleys and plains, along with tens of thousands of smaller hills identified for the first time. Researchers used high-resolution satellite data and advanced ice flow analysis to map the entire continent, including regions that had never been charted before. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.